is an Unspoiled Network podcast. This is Unspoiled, covering Justified, Season 5, Episode 5, Shot All to Hell. In this episode, Alan Tudyk is here! Alan Tudyk is here, and he has a Tommy gun! He has a Tommy gun! Oh, I'm really bummed that he died within the same episode, but I'm not gonna lie, Tommy gun kind of made up for it. Welcome to Unspoiled.
On this lonely road, trying to make it home, doing it by my lonesome, pissed off, who wants some? I'm fighting for my soul, God get at you, boy. You try to blow God, fall back, I go hard. On this lonely road, trying to make it home, doing it by my lonesome, pissed off, who wants some?
He is a leaf on the wind. Watch how he soars.
You don't know the reaction I had when he came on the screen.
I do, because you texted me.
Oh, I just was like, that's not him. Is that him? Is that him? Because, you know, you're seeing it from kind of far away. Like he's in that, in the parking lot.
Yep.
And so it definitely, there was a moment where I was just like, wait, what? But yeah. How about that? Oh my God.
And playing
so
way against type.
Yo, he is fucking terrifying.
He kills it. Oh yeah.
I'm bad at it. I'm bad at it. I want more of him in roles like this.
Yeah. Absolutely.
He has this sort of face that really feels like cute and boyish when he's young, but as he's getting older, it's sort of started to shrink in on itself. And he looks pinched and angry and bitter in the face, which I'm sorry, Alan, it's just true. And so I feel like this kind of angry character actually works really well as he's aging, and that he could probably pull this off more and more if they wanted to have him do this again.
Well, I hope the casting directors are watching this episode, because I would put him in all the scary roles from like now on. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's got a kind of coldness that's like difficult to. There's a coldness that it really genuinely feels like he does not fucking care what happens around him. Like, as long as he accomplishes his goal, it's a little robot-like almost, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm bummed he's dead. I thought he might be around a little bit longer, but, you know, can't have it all. That's fine.
No, I also got super, super excited when he showed up the first time I saw him, and I just remember being crushed that he doesn't make it out of the episode. Because anything he is in is instantly, 10 times better. Yeah,
I have had a massive crush on him ever since A Knight's Tale.
Me too.
Yay.
Me too. And actually when they were casting Game of Thrones, my first thought when they announced what's his face was King Robert, and he's the other guy from A Knight's Tale, and I went like, oh dude, it's him. He's going to be awesome. I'm so on board for this TV show now.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, he's the other sidekick. And for some reason, A Knight's Tale, which is not like an amazing movie by any stretch of the imagination, is a weird touch point for me. There's everyone who's in that movie is great.
Yeah, that's one of those movies that like it gets sort of derided, but it was the start for so many great people that I'm kind of like, you don't get to say shit about this movie. Shut up. Stop it. Like, just no.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm delighted, and this episode is great purely because of him, and that's not fair at all, because it's honestly a great episode all around. But he just elevates it to this point for me that I'm just like, yep, it's irrational. I'm fine with it.
All right. Well, I guess first, hi everybody. I'm Alan.
Hi, Alan. I'm Natasha.
Hi, Natasha. And today we are looking at Justified Season 5, Episode 5, Shot All to Hell. This is written by Chris Provenzano, his 6th episode of Justified, and directed by Theotonin himself, Adam Arkin. And this is his 6th episode of Justified that he directed.
I didn't know that. That's fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this episode begins with the end of Lee Paxton.
Mm-hmm.
He is woken up.
A moment too soon.
Yeah.
I really didn't think this was going to happen so fast, and I am very happy with it. Satisfying.
So it's been time for him to go for a long time. And the first way would have been satisfying, and the second way would have been okay, and this is back to satisfying.
Yep.
So yeah, he gets a phone call from Sheriff Mooney. The police have found a bunch of bodies in the morgue, and he is all indignant. He knows that he's being, double-crossed, and he starts to get up only to find out Boyd is already in the room.
Didn't expect that. I should have. I thought it was going to be his wife, though. But yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think that also would have been good. But no, Boyd is there because he has to explain to him just how badly he has lost.
Yeah.
He's got this fantastic quote. Small towns don't run on a 24-hour news cycle. Small town never forgets. Now word's going to burn through these hills and hollers like a wildfire. The people of Harlan County, rich and poor, will marvel at your debasement and venality. They will spit venom when they speak your name, and they will take your suicide as the last act of a coward. Now your reputation's ruined, your good word worthless, but death will not be the end of your suffering. For generations, your children and your children's children will have a mark against their name, and that will be your legacy.
That is serious. That is some Shakespearean shit.
Seriously.
I'm just first of all, I didn't know this guy had kids.
I don't think we've ever really known that before. But.
And when he pulls the trigger, he's in the middle of being like, Mr. Crowder. Oh, Mr. Crowder. Yeah, okay. Shut the fuck up. And I was so glad that was when Boyd pulled the trigger. Like, he's thinking the exact same thing as me. It's like, fuck you. You know, just, yeah. That was great opening. I loved it. And it makes so much sense because, this is the one witness and what are they going to do? And just totally ruin his credibility. That's all you can do, right? Good idea.
Yeah.
Good idea, man. Like it.
It's good stuff. I was going to say something else, but it's totally escaped me now. But that's the, meat and potatoes of the scene anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So we go then up to Windsor, Ontario, in an alley. And Will Sasso is assassinated by Alan Tudyk.
Yo, why did this guy not see this coming?
Right?
Like, come on. You just totally flipped on everybody. And you're just walking around. Like, run, man. Leave. What are you doing?
And he even, when they're talking before it happens, he tells my notes, I'll just say Wash, but but he tells Wash exactly what he told the cops as if it's no big deal.
Right? That was the other thing, is he's not like, oh, I never said anything. He's like, oh, I just said all of the relevant information. What's the big deal? Like, this is not, that's what it, sir, what? Yeah. Yep. This was a weird moment to me. Like, he has never done this before. Like, he's, Walter White in the first season, just kind of like, what, was I not supposed to say all that? Like, who found you and hired you? What was on your resume before this? Like,
this is why we don't have Canadian gangsters in more TV shows.
They're way too polite and giving with their information.
I think so.
I
think so. After we leave Ontario, we go to the Child Welfare Protective Services office. Mm-hmm. And we see Allison finishing off the paperwork so Wendy Crow can take custody of Kendall.
I forgot all about Wendy Crow.
Yeah, she disappears for a little while. But, she is here, and she's the respectable one. And Allison says that Wendy's taking him back to Florida, which, we know that that's just total horseshit, right?
Yeah, and I'm, kind of puzzled by that because she's saying that, but it's going to take, 10 seconds for them to find out that that's not true, right? Like,
yeah.
Why even bother? Because he's just going to get taken again. Like, I don't understand the end game here.
I think it feels to me like it might just be like this was Raylan's power play to show them, I'm in charge.
Yeah.
So listen up. And this is their power play right back to say, yeah, nice try.
I mean, yeah, but it is like, if it is a nice try, because he can just take the kid back, and then if she's lied once about what she was doing with him, they don't have to ever release him again to her, right?
That's probably true. I mean, I guess I don't know enough to know, but yeah, I guess that's true.
I don't know. I understand what you're saying, but it does just kind of feel like the only thing I can guess is that every time he comes around, that they will hide the boy and act like he's not actually there anymore.
Yeah.
Which I guess, but she's going to be around apparently. So I don't know how they can make that believable when she's not, like, she's supposed to be in Florida taking care of him, and now apparently she's hanging around too.
No, I mean, that's true. I guess, honestly, I guess we will have to wait and see if this is a plot point that is followed up on or not.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're right. I mean, it's a small town, so they're going to know if he's still hanging around.
Yeah.
And when she takes him, Raylan is also, he threatens he's going to reinstate Daryl's parole and say, like, this is, forget our deal. And Wendy, again, shuts him down.
Mm-hmm.
Just says, you think you have power in this. You don't have the power you think you do.
Mm-hmm.
So it just kind of doubles down on this idea of, Raylan thought he had I don't think he expected them taking Kendall away to stick.
Yeah. Or
to convince them to ship out the way he wishes they would. But it does show him, like, this is his way of saying, I can make your lives miserable. But it seems like they can stymie him whenever they want with superpower paralegal Wendy.
Yeah, I guess it's just kind of I don't know. It all is just posturing, I guess, which always is sort of puzzling to me, because it's not like they don't already know what they know about each other, and this is just confirming things that they've already been through with each other. But it also assists the storyline with Amy a little bit, because she is Amy his girlfriend's name? No. Allison. Because she kind of just calls him out on what he's doing. And she's like, basically not buying his bullshit line about, like, well, I did it for the kid's own good. And she's like, yeah, listen, you're using that kid in the fight. You were trying to draw fire. And then she's like, get some cocoa. It's delicious. Because the kid had some and asked if the dispenser was hooked up to the septic system.
Yeah.
Ew, it's gross.
Yeah. But yeah, I do like Wendy drops the phrase campaign of harassment right before she walks away. And Allison just looks at me and goes, campaign of harassment?
Right.
And Raylan's just, I think that's blowing it out of proportion. Yeah, so like you said, posturing is a good word. And I guess it is a little odd without seeing what sort of follow-up there will or won't be. But I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
Yeah. So after Child Protective Services, we go to Art staking out a diner.
Mm-hmm.
And he watches Picker head to the diner, and then he sees Alan Tudyk get out of his car and stops him in the parking lot.
How does he know about him?
He doesn't. He sees him sitting in a car for an hour and then getting out of the car the minute after the guy he's waiting for emerges.
Okay, so it was just a coincidence that they happen to be casing the same place at the same time.
Essentially, yeah.
Okay.
Art was staking this place out, and he sees another guy who also seems to be staking the place out.
Gotcha.
I can totally see what you're saying about his face shrinking.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's something about it that makes him look like he will one day, when he's an old man, he will be playing the insufferable crank. He will be playing like the Walder Frey characters out there.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. That's going to be a good time for him, I think. It's a pretty good span. Like, you have this fresh-faced look, so you get to play all of the affable, relatable young men, and then you get older and you get to play the schmucks and the shitbags. Like, that's fun. That's a pretty good run.
That's true.
So
that's true. And I do like that Art talks him down from entering the restaurant at this moment, and before he leaves, Art takes his picture, like Quarles style.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that was pretty good.
I like that moment. And then he goes into the diner to talk to Picker, who is having breakfast with Wynn Duffy and Mike.
Mm-hmm.
And they have like a... Yeah.
I just love Wynn Duffy so much.
Oh,
every time that I'm like, well, maybe I'm just like a little too excited about him because it's just, he's such a character like that. I kind of assign him this excitement that isn't really, no. Every time he's back, there's just something about him that is so, the way that he sees Art coming in and he's just like, oh shit. And later on when Picker tries to be like, I've changed my mind. And Wynn's like, no, you're going with him. Like, I just love how little bullshit he puts up with and how little bullshit he shovels out. Like,
and yet at the same time, he's so animated and such an oddball and slinging his own total bullshit.
Yep. Yeah, I love, like, and these glasses and the hair. He's getting a little bit of a Boydish look with the hair going on.
Yeah, was that a thing a few years ago and I just missed it because I'm balding?
I don't think so. I think that they're going a little bit crazier with it than they had been.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So they have this conversation, and Art basically finally agrees to let Picker to take a walk with Picker. And as they stand up, the hitman comes back into the diner, and they have like the most intense scene this show has ever done.
It is like, I don't understand how cops weren't called.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're blocking the way. Waitresses have got to be like, come on, guys. Right? Like, I've got shit to do. Can we not right now? And they are very clearly putting their hands inside their jackets. Like, there is no doubt what's happening here. But I'm wondering, like, how much action this diner has seen is really what it is, right? Like, if this is happening and you're not doing anything about it, what kind of level of, like, ambivalent have you grown to? Yeah, I'm just... Yeah, this is a good scene. It's a good scene.
I love it. And I love that the whole time you see the people just around in the diner just enjoying their breakfast. And they're really not taking very much notice of what's going on.
They aren't.
I feel like were I a pedestrian in this, I probably would be. Because I'm like, what's going on there with all the standing and the black clothes?
Mm-hmm.
But it was...
That's the main thing to me is the black clothes. Like, Alan Tudyk's outfit is like Assassin 101 uniform. Right?
Yes, absolutely. He's Angel of Death looking guy. Yeah.
Even with his pinched, shriveled face, he's still just so fine. Like, how it's really like weird that somebody can be that good looking and also not be good looking at all. How does that work? There's got to be women out there like that, right?
Oh, that's absolutely.
Who's a woman that you're like, she's not really that hot, but she's super hot?
You're going to ask me someone famous.
Yeah. It would have been so messed up if you like named somebody that I knew personally. Like, how do I react to that? There's nothing good that I can like.
Yeah, I don't know. That's difficult because I feel like, especially on TV, so many, women in general are good looking on TV.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Have that same standard that men do, where you can be the goofy one.
Yeah.
Even the goofy one who's a girl is still, by most standards, maybe they're a 7 out of 10 instead of a 9 out of 10 or whatever. It's that's tough. That I know people in my personal life who aren't, conventionally good looking, but just the moment she opens her mouth, they go like, "Oh, all right, I get you now. Totally. Wow. Okay. What are you doing later?" So I've definitely experienced it, but I don't know if I can point to anybody famous because, yeah, they're all way too good looking for real life.
Mm-hmm.
I'll think about it though.
Okay. And I forgot that he like grabs the waitress and says something to her and makes her sit down.
Yeah. Art grabs her and says, please start getting everybody out of this diner.
No,
She turns,
Alan.
yes, and then
Alan
after
Tudyk
grabs her, and says they don't say what he says to her, but it's something to the effect of, "How about we don't do that? You just sit right here."
Yeah.
And just puts her down in a booth with two of the customers.
I really want, like, this is a moment where I'm like, she would have a cell phone on her and she would blow this shit up a little bit. But maybe not. But his back is to her, so I feel like she would have. But that's okay.
I'm actually kind of curious when this episode aired, because, I mean, obviously cell phones were around when the show was on, but there was a saturation point for them. And this may have been this. This aired February 4th, 2014. Never mind.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, nope. She would totally have had a cell phone. Although I have worked jobs where they made you put your cell phone away from your person for the entirety of your shift. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah,
I mean, a lot of places supposedly make you do that, but when you're a waitress with all those pockets, you usually still have it on you, and you just tell them to go fuck themselves. I speak from experience.
No, there probably should have been someone in that diner who was filming the whole thing just in case a fight broke out. Mm-hmm. Because that seems to be what people do now. So,
and he addresses it by just saying it's more interesting, isn't it? Like having these people around. Like I love him so much. Why can't they have kept him? He's so dangerous. He's like, he's freaking me out. I love it. I love it. And Art, I'm going to search you for weapons. And he just straight up tells him, I've got an FN-45 and a Walther. Which isn't Walther James Bond's weapon?
Walther PPK.
Yeah.
James Bond, yep. So, nothing actually happens, but it's this totally awesome standoff. And Art, as he says later, he has his Raylan moment of talking down the bad guy. Mm-hmm. And reluctantly, Alan Tudyk leaves, and Picker eventually agrees to come with Art.
Oh my God, though! Like, there's a moment too when I'm sorry, guys, I just smacked really loud in your ears. I did it, and then I realized how annoying that must have been when they have their headphones on. When Duffy's sidekick, bodyguard, reaches into his own jacket. And Alan's like, hey, shit fingers, I can see you. Like, with this utter disdain. And then he starts saying something in another language. Do you know what that was?
I don't. I feel like the thing that came to mind is Greek, but it sounded sort of Eastern European or sort of... I don't know. I'm completely making it up. But
I was like... I didn't have the subtitles on when I first started watching, although I normally do. And I rewound it and put them back on to see if there was a translation or even an indicator of what language. And they don't say.
It just says another language.
Yeah. So I was like, come on, man. But yeah, he finally is given. He basically tries to do the, you feeling lucky with Art,
right?
And Art's like, listen, I'm getting old, but you are 7 feet away. I'm liking my chances. Exactly. And then he finally is just like, all right, fine. And he backs down. But I wish he was in everything. Can't he be in more stuff? Why do I like him so much? I don't know what it is. Just some actors like that. Yeah, I'm trying to think of a female actor that I get that way about, that I'm so excited to see and stuff. I can't think of one right now.
Yeah, see, that's the problem with people in those roles, though, because they aren't the people who are on your mind, and then you see them and you go, oh wait, that guy,
right? What's the name of the girl that played Regina in Mean Girls?
Oh God, I'm bad at this game.
Rachel McGowan, is that her?
Rachel McAdams.
McAdams. Yes, that sounds right. She's one. When I see her in something, I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of. It was Jax's ex-wife in Sons of Anarchy. I'm totally drawing a blank.
Oh, yeah. Yep, the one that's the addict.
Yes. Yeah, whenever she's in anything, I'm totally there for it.
Portia De La Rossi? Is that her?
No.
No, that's the one from
Sopranos. Arrested Development.
Oh, right. Arrested Development. I'm getting it mixed up.
Yeah, no, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on her name. Now I've got to look it up because...
Sorry, guys. I totally derailed here. I derailed mostly because I don't want to talk about Dewey.
Dewey. It is... Drea De Matteo.
That's right. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and she's just freaking wonderful. But yes, our next scene is Dewey having an existential crisis with his hooker girlfriends. And he is trying to pontificate, but doesn't have the words.
It really is like, I feel bad for him because every time that we see him in anything, you see that there is a capacity there somewhere for so much more than what he is. It's there, like it's just flickering, but it just never got the kindling around it to take. And now he's too old and it's never going to happen, man. Like, and I just feel bad because he seems to know it's there too and be like so frustrated by it, you know, like I feel really bad for him. And he's a really good example of just like people who aren't privileged and the potential that just goes down the drain. Because if he had not been born to the situation that he was in, maybe he wouldn't have turned into a fucking like Nazi. Yeah.
Yeah. No, if there was someone there who could have nurtured that part of him, he could have at the very least become an upstanding member of society.
Mm-hmm. Because he seems to have a big heart, and you know, like there's somebody that he has every reason to want to kill, and he's still having a hard time doing it. So I feel like this is somebody who has this compassion that a lot of people don't have, or a lot of people are able to turn off, and he's not able to do that. And I don't think it's just him being a coward, and I don't think it's just him being weak. Like there's certainly elements of that in other things that he does, but in that way, I feel like he's a stronger character than some of the others.
Yeah, I think that this part of his personality doesn't have anything to do with him being weak. Mm-hmm. I mean, it really is just about him being empathetic and him understanding on a more of a gut level of sort of right from wrong. And, you know, I think that's what makes him so pitiful. Every time, there's never been a time, except for maybe the very beginning of this season, when we've seen Dewey Crow when he has not been like swimming against the tide.
Yeah.
He's not his head in whatever he is attempting. And he vacillates between you just want to hug him or you want to throttle him or he's just, someone needs to do something. You can't leave him the way he is because you just can't take it.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's just there's something really frustrating about watching this and him looking for the words, and you know what he's trying to say. You get where he's going with it, but like he doesn't even possess the capacity to really even articulate what he. It's just how frustrating.
Yeah, and one of the girls asked him, "Is this because I stuck my finger up your butt last time?"
Oh my God. I was so happy, too, that he doesn't get real defensive about that.
Yeah.
He's just like, no. I expected him to be like, no, and don't mention that ever again.
Right.
But no, he's just like, no, that's not it. Because there's an episode of Sex and the City where there's a guy who really loves dirty talk. Mm-hmm. And one time Miranda, like, she's had a hard time getting into the dirty talk. But finally she starts to get into it and she's like, and you love a finger up your ass. And he stops dead and looks at her like she's just said the most horrific thing and walks away from her and never comes back. He never, he won't see her again after she's, like, finally managed to get on the level with him with this stuff. So that's kind of what I was expecting here, was him just like, but no, he starts to give his possessions away.
I know. He gives them gifts.
Oh, my God.
He gives them his Papa's wooden turtle dog. and his gator tooth necklace.
And they both look kind of sad. Like, I love the way that they look after him. But then they immediately are like, yeah, fuck this, and toss them aside.
I know. That's so sad.
Boo.
It's so sad. And by the way, according to my Amazon trivia thing, the song playing in the background in this scene is called I Wanna Disappoint You.
Oh. Yikes. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just something, it's a very appropriate title. So we go to Johnny's bar, Boyd's bar, but it's still called Johnny's bar. Mm-hmm. Boyd has come in for a drink. And he has a conversation with Daryl and Jean-Baptiste. Mm-hmm. And they talk about Boyd's reputation and the general shittiness of the bar. And then finally Boyd draws on them because they don't seem to have realized who they were talking to.
Yep. Yeah, this is a still that I have seen a lot when I go image searching. And okay. I actually, just the other day, was thinking about this still and going, maybe I saw it and I just don't remember, is him with his gun out at the bar. Mm. And so when this happened here, I'm like, oh, there it is. Because they never show who he's pointing it at in that still. It's just him pointing.
Yeah. And like when he draws, Daryl just goes like, God damn, man, that was cool as ice.
Yeah. Genuinely impressed. Like, I think Boyd thinks he's making fun of him a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I mean, maybe a little, but nah, he's dead serious, bro.
Yeah.
He really is.
And Boyd gives Daryl 60 seconds to talk. And so Daryl takes this nice long pull from his beer before he starts.
He drains that fucking bottle. That's more than a pull. That is like, that's like a suction, some kind of industrial strength. Like, I just was watching that, like, even if that's not real beer in there, which of course it's not, like, that's still impressive as any liquid, whatever's in there. Like, damn. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the way he measured up to Boyd in this scene, because it's very different than a lot of the other people Boyd's been talking to, at least recently. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think that they have a really interesting interaction. It's where neither person really, comes out on top in the conversation, but it feels a lot less polished than the people that Boyd's been dealing with.
Yep.
So,
and he's got what's his face behind the bar with his shotgun too.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, Jimmy's behind the bar with his shotgun, and again, they seem like they should be concerned, but they play it very cool. Mm-hmm. And they're also very upfront about they want Dewey's money back.
Yeah. You sold him a bill of goods, didn't you? And there's a way that Boyd swallows when he says that, where I'm like, yep, he sure do know it too. Like, he just thought he could get away with it because he didn't know that Dewey had people.
Right.
But yeah, he did. And I feel bad about it, but also Boyd's been under some pressure and has needed a lot of money recently. So,
also true.
On the other hand, I'm like, yeah, well, Dewey could afford it too because he had all that money. But
yeah, Daryl kind of calls him out on everything that's been going on. And again, he acquits himself pretty well as far as first impressions go. But Boyd isn't hearing it, obviously. I don't think that either of them really expected that to work. So
we're clear. You are saying no?
Yeah. So we go to the marshal's office, and Raylan's trying to get Daryl's parole reinstated, but the office is way too busy for that because Art has Picker in interrogation.
Yeah.
And Raylan looks very concerned.
Yeah, he's like, let me talk to him alone. Oh, Raylan, bless you, but buddy. And I know I'm jumping ahead here, but when he just comes out and says it, I was like, fucking thank you. Seriously. Because the two of you dancing around this, I can't with it anymore. Y'all need to get this out in the open. Mm-hmm. Like, I would have understood if he left it because obviously Art knows. And obviously Art's like willing to let it go. But it's not about the the actual, like, facts of it right now. It's about whether or not the two of them have that trust anymore.
Yeah.
Because he could have just left it and been like, well, we both know, but I'm still not going to cop to it, pun intended. And he decided to do the other thing. And I'm interested to see what the fallout from that's going to be, because art can be surprising sometimes. And I'm not sure if he's going to, like, be a real, like, pro about it and kind of hold his feet to the fire with the consequences of it, or if he's going to do the low-key, I'm gonna punish you in a myriad of other ways that other people don't really know or understand, but you will.
Right.
Which seems a little bit more his style with something like this, but I don't know. He might just straight up be like, you know what? I've had enough of your shit and you pulling things like this, so I'm going to go ahead and tell everybody, and you can deal with the consequences. So we'll see. But sorry, I'm jumping ahead.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, before we get into all of that stuff, we go to Boyd meeting up with Hot Rod Dunham at the Donut Hut.
This guy's beard, man. Why does he bother? He needs to get rid of that thing. It's like some cotton candy from last year got left somewhere.
Yeah, he's not looking his best in this scene.
Oh, man.
Yeah, they talk about, Hot Rod talks about how he used to meet with Boyd's daddy, and they'd get stoned at the Donut Hut before going to concerts and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But mostly he's here. He offers to pay Boyd back for the double cross he pulled with Johnny Crowder.
Mm-hmm.
And Boyd declines and counteroffers. He wants an apology, he wants Johnny, and he wants Hot Rod's help smuggling heroin out of Mexico.
Yep. And he's like, I mean, the first two, maybe. That last one, fuck no. Yeah. Basically.
Yeah, he is very dubious about leaving the fairly safe world of pot dealing for the high stakes of black tar heroin smuggling.
Yeah. Understandably. I mean, even like pot being as like kind of low key as it is, he's had a lot of bloodshed.
That's true.
So, I mean, I could understand not really wanting to go any further with that kind of shit.
Yeah, but as we find out later, they must have reached some sort of agreement. But at the time we leave them, it seems like, he's not all that interested.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, we leave them mid-conversation. And this is where we go back to the Marshall station, where Raylan finds out from Tim and Rachel that Art's been in Detroit the previous week, because he did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
And he insists on accompanying Vasquez in to meet with Art and Picker.
And Picker is smirking up a storm.
Oh, he is so thrilled to see Raylan.
God. This asshole.
Yeah, he realizes that he just got leverage.
Yeah.
Or at least so he assumes. And we get a name for Alan Tudyk. His name is Elias Marcos. And I looked, by the way, Antonin is a Hebrew name, apparently.
Oh, okay.
According to Google. So, yeah. So perhaps Tudyk was speaking Hebrew?
Oh. Huh.
Totally guessing. Again, completely guessing, but that's the etymology of the name. So.
Okay.
Could be.
Maybe, yeah. Anybody who knows, there's got to be somebody who knows who listens. Please. Let us know.
Please tell us. So yeah, we find out that Alan Tudyk is Elias Marcos. He is Theo Tonin's consigliere and one-man Praetorian Guard.
That is quite a fucking title series there.
Right?
Damn.
Yeah, he followed Tonin to Tunisia, and we hear that Tonin actually recently left Tunisia 2 days ago, looking for help for his heart ailment. They just dropped that little bit of information in there.
Yeah, that was is that supposed to be something that we knew anything about already?
No, I think because the last thing we heard is Theo Tonin just got away scot-free.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Country, no extradition charges. Yeah, that was almost sort of the end of his story, except turns out he just left.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, no, that's all that was. Just a bit of information. It's almost a little like clunkily dropped in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one felt, I think that's why that I was like, wait, is that as like weirdly clunky as it seems like, or is that something like just a reminder, like a callback to something that I should have known? But yeah, okay,
Yeah.
so was what I thought.
Yeah, no. But in the middle of the conversation, Picker indicates that he remembers Raylan. And Raylan's like, yeah, from the high school where we had that standoff.
How about that, buddy? Yeah, well
Yeah.
done. Very subtle.
Yeah.
Good job, guys.
Yep. And eventually Raylan manages to wrangle a one-on-one with him for a couple of minutes.
Not before my favorite part where Art's like, I'm gonna go get a Diet Sprite, and he's like, I'll take one too, princess. You can suck the can when I'm done. Oh, why is that so demeaning? Oh, I love it. It's pretty good.
It is. And this scene just ends with Raylan and Picker just locking eyes.
Yeah.
We cut away to Boyd, and he is talking to a guy we haven't seen before. He was talking to Hayes Workman, and they are hanging out on like a railroad bridge.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know what the hell this was about.
No, we come into it like mid-conversation,
Yeah.
and we leave before the conversation finishes.
Yeah, it was real. It did not feel justified. Like, it didn't feel like the tone that the show has taken before, jumping in like after it started and leaving before it's done. This isn't something that they do that frequently.
Mm-mm. No, they're having like this really serious but very non-specific discussion.
Yeah.
About mortality and this guy's wife and kids and if he's going to see him again. And you can sort of just, because we watch TV, you can sort of get a feel for something bad is going to happen because of this guy or to this guy.
Mm-hmm.
They're clearly planning something or setting up for something or something.
something.
Yes, but we get far fewer details than the show usually gives.
That's true. Definitely.
Yeah. And then, again, before the scene goes too far, we get just enough context before we cut away.
Yeah.
And we go back to Raylan and Picker, and this is their big interrogation. Well, not officially an interrogation. They do go out of their way to mention that this room is not on tape.
Mm-hmm. Which I thought was, like, kind of unrealistic. Like, it feels like it should be. You know what I mean?
I guess so, but I also think, like, how many rooms can you realistically have, like, bugged? It's one thing if it's on video, but it's another thing to, like, you have, like, audio microphones all the time. It's just a conference room.
I mean, but that's what I mean. Like, there's a conference room with one of those, like, speakers right in the middle of it. I would think that they would just take advantage of that as much as they could, you know?
Oh, that's true. It's a good point.
But
that's a good point. But yeah, they do make a point of that they're not being recorded.
Mm-hmm.
So that way they can just talk about it out in the open. That, and essentially Raylan knows that Picker wants to get out of here so he can go find Marcos, which means that he has some idea of where he must be.
Mm-hmm.
And Picker threatens blackmail, and Raylan threatens him right back.
Yeah, Raylan is really scary here. Because he's like, be careful what you say. And he's like, I thought you said they don't roll tape in this room. And he says, that's not what I mean. You know me because of the things that I do. The things that you have witnessed me doing. So just follow that to its logical conclusion, basically. And he just hands him the pen. What's it going to be? I was like, damn, son. Like, seriously, that is, Raylan is cool as ice plenty of the time. But I don't really find him that genuinely intimidating a lot because he can be so cavalier about it all. That I don't feel like he puts a lot of effort into trying to be intimidating because he doesn't have to be because he could just take care of shit. So he's not going to bother with that step, you know?
Right.
But when he has to be, he can be, man. Like,
yeah, he is. We left him last season in like a pretty dark place in a pretty gray area, like morally.
Yeah.
And I think, although I assume that he feels that, he's also not afraid to use it to his advantage.
Definitely.
It's like, as long as I'm here, let's make the most of this.
Yeah, I broke the seal, so, like, why not?
Right. So we leave and go to Boyd, and this is Boyd settling all family business at the local diner.
I didn't expect this shit to go down like this at all, man.
Right? Yeah, it's Boyd and Mara and Sheriff Mooney. And Mooney is not happy about meeting in public with Boyd.
Yeah, he thinks, like, everybody's going to see me and think stuff. And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, there's no way people don't know some of your shit already, which is what Boyd basically says right away.
Yeah, he goes like, everybody knows, whatever. Yeah, he wants his payoff. And Boyd excuses himself to go to the restroom, and he tells Mooney that he's going to get what he has coming to him.
And Mooney, dumbass that he is like, good. Fucking, did you not hear him? Did you not hear the words that came out of his mouth? What about that sounded positive to you? Lord have mercy.
Yeah, he is. God, he is such a freaking frat boy.
He really is.
Sorry, I was just looking at his big dumb face.
He has got a big dumb face. That's fair. Although, this is the first time, because he says something at one point about a smile that almost blinds you.
Oh, that's right.
Like, he said that like a couple episodes ago, when he's trying to nail down whether it was Boyd that beat the shit out of Lee. And here, he makes some kind of joke, and Boyd laughs in this way that is fucking scary looking. And I'm screenshotting it and sending it to you because I had to stop and be like, what did he just do? Because, you know, he's got a wide smile and everything, but in this moment, his teeth look like they take up about a third of his head. Where is my chat box for Skype? Here we go. So I'm totally sending this to you right now. Sorry, everybody, who's listening, because I'm sure this is compelling audio. But, okay, just sent it.
Yeah, that is a big old mouth with some big old teeth in it.
There's something about that almost looks like it's been CGI'd.
Right.
Like, you know, it's just like if they were going to make something creepy happen, that would be the moment that they built on and have his mouth continue to get larger and larger and larger until all of a sudden he like ate half the table. I could see that being a really good monster moment, you know, like.
Well, I was just thinking of, do you watch the extended Lord of the Rings movies?
Yes.
The Mouth of Sauron and the Return of the King.
I do not remember.
He's the guy, it's right before the final battle. He comes out and he says a bunch of stuff and Aragorn cuts his head off. And then the battle starts, basically.
Okay.
They filmed it with just, you know, the regular actor. And then they used CGI to triple the size of his mouth.
Oh my God.
So
creepy.
Yes, and so he just ends up, and basically all you can see of his face is his mouth. You know, big helmet rather, with just like a mouthpiece sort of open, like Batman style.
Okay.
You can see his mouth, bottom of his nose, and whatever. But they just took his mouth and made it 3 times as big as it's supposed to be, and it looks just off enough where you're just like, holy shit, that's unsettling.
It reminded me a little bit of that moment at the end of Buffy, and I'm not going to get into spoilers here.
Okay.
But there is a moment in the very last season of Buffy, those who know the show well will know where I'm talking about, where somebody's mouth keeps growing.
Oh, yeah.
And it is fucked up. It's one of the scarier moments of television that I remember, like, because it just comes out of nowhere a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was what I thought of when I saw that, was just like that's like Boyd's about to disappear into his own mouth.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so he gets up and is like, yeah, you're going to get what's coming to you. Oh, okay, Boyd.
And as soon as he walks away, Hayes Workman strides into the restaurant, walks right over, says to Sheriff Mooney, this is what you get when you cross my family. And then takes a revolver in a paper bag, shoots him twice in the chest, turns around and leaves.
He just leaves. Nobody does shit.
Yeah.
I was pretty surprised that he was able to just walk out of there like that.
Everybody just like ducks for cover, basically.
Yeah, basically. And he drops the gun, But it's not like he isn't just like he has no disguise or anything. So he's totally like his conversation with Boyd now makes sense because he's he's sacrificing himself. And
yeah,
so that was enough of a surprise. But then Boyd comes out and he starts talking to what's her name?
Mara.
As if she betrayed him? What's his problem with her all of a sudden? I thought they were like on the same side here.
I thought they were too. I don't know that he appreciated her demanding the $300,000. Okay. But also, I know that they were the whole point of them pulling the stuff they pulled with Boyd and his cutting off his hand and whatever was to get Lee to drop the charges against Ava, and he didn't do it. So they don't say that, but I wonder if that's not playing into some of it as well. And she, and he says, like, are you going to drop the charges? And Paxton goes, no! And she kind of goes, okay.
Yeah.
And obviously none of that spelled out, at least not in this episode. But, yeah, maybe she was not on his side enough for his liking.
Yeah, this bummed me out because she is not a stupid woman, and he is going to feel her wrath. Like, there's no way that she's not going to come back at him. Because that's his deal, is like, oh, I'm just going to threaten you, not give you anything that I promised you, and leave you with nothing and tell you that you're going to leave town, and that's the end of this. And that's so not the end of this, dude. Like, what do you not understand about the type of person that she is? She is a smart, careful, thoughtful woman who is willing to do shady shit. Yo, you guys should be on the same side. If you were smart, you would make sure she was. And you could probably do a lot with her. And I don't mean that in the way that it sounds. But a partner like that, a beautiful woman who could like manipulate men, like whatever, and is experienced with doing that and knows how to do that, and also doesn't have a lot of like qualms about illegal shit. Take advantage. What are you doing? I'm just kind of mad at him now.
No, that's fair. That's fair. And he does actually, he goes out his way to like say, like, yeah, I do in fact have the $300,000, and it's going to that guy's family.
Yeah.
Because he did what he had to do to help me.
Mm-hmm. Oh man.
Yeah, and she is shook.
She looks really angry. Yeah.
Yeah. And and he just says, get out, leave Harlan County, and don't come back.
Yeah, sure.
So.
Sure, Boyd. Sure, Jan.
So on the heels of this, we go to Boyd visiting Ava in prison with their lawyer. And they are explaining that Lee Paxton's dead, Sheriff Mooney is dead, so the case against you is falling apart. And she should be out-processed by tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I was like, all right, so what's going to fuck this up? Part of me thought she might not get out at all, but then another part of me was like, I bet she gets out and immediately goes back. Like something else happens. That was what I expected. Was that there gets to be like some, brief moment of just, I'm free, and then just like dragged right the fuck back in. But she doesn't even get that brief moment. Yeah.
So you were pretty resigned to this being the Ava in prison season?
Yes. Okay. It was just too, there's no reason for them to have set up the thing with the prison guard and then just have her get out.
True.
Like that didn't make any sense to me that they would set him up as this guy who's going to antagonize her and resent her. And then suddenly she's just out from under his thumb like nothing. So yeah, I figured something.
Nope. That's what we're looking at. Because you're right. They have a very nice moment about how excited they are that she's getting out at 9 and Boyd will be there at 8:59 and all that stuff. And then Ava has to leave. Back at Audrey's, Wendy walks in with Kendall. And once again, she's arguing with Daryl, and she's pissed with him that he wants to keep Kendall here, and he needs to find a better place for him. But they seem happy enough to have him back. Danny immediately begins picking at him again because he's an ass.
Alan, I can't believe that you're not going to address the hang in there poster with the kitten hanging from a tree branch that he is very carefully hanging, framed, I may add, in this whorehouse.
Yes.
What I thought I was seeing things for a second. It's in Comic Sans. Where did they even find this? Oh my God. Yes. Anyway, but yes, you're right. Danny starts picking on him immediately. Danny is everybody on Facebook that I really despise and hate. I have met this guy and versions of him so many times. I hate him so much. He is the character so far in this show that I hate the most. And it has only taken one episode for that to happen, because I didn't feel like this about him. Like, he was, pain in the ass and a stunter and poser and whatever. But he was kind of amusing in his shitty way. But this episode, this is the one where I'm just like, nah, you are toxic masculinity personified.
Yes.
Oh, I hate him.
Yeah.
I hate him.
Yeah, he's pretty immediately awful. And I don't remember, is this the scene where he immediately picks on him because he changed his shirt?
This is
that later?
Whoa, that's a nice shirt.
Scene.
Your foster family gave you that?
Yeah. Dickhead. But anyway, while that's going on, Wendy and Daryl continue to kind of bicker, and she comes to a realization that this is Daryl's plan to keep her around instead of letting her return to Florida, where she actually did want to go.
Yeah.
But it really doesn't take too much conversation.
I can't keep my patience the way that you could with them. And all of a sudden she's like, oh, you motherfucker. Like, yeah, I like that moment a lot.
Yeah, but doesn't seem like she takes all that much convincing to get back on the train, because by the end of the conversation, they're like, she's like, well, we could do the old thing. It's okay, you could do the old thing. There's, she's walking a line here.
Yeah, this is somebody who enjoys this shit a little too much.
A little too much, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah, for the time being, apparently, it looks like she's sticking around.
Yeah, and the old thing, what's that? Is it just, like, what was it they were selling? Sugar?
They were smuggling, they were selling sugar on the down low to candy companies.
That's, like, such a weird thing. Like, I guess go back to that, like, if it worked for you, but you're not in a position where that's an easy import in Kentucky, I wouldn't think.
How amazing would that be if this show just turned into 2 seasons about sugar smuggling?
Sugar smugglers. Sugar smugglers sounds like some sort of weird euphemism for, like, gay people, or like some sort of strange slur. Do you know what I mean?
Those lousy sugar smugglers.
Right?
Whole town's gone downhill.
I'm just like, I don't know. There's something about it that sounds really hateful.
That's so funny. I was thinking it sounds like a new reality show next to Swamp People.
Is Swamp People a reality show that exists?
It at least did exist. That was a real thing. Yeah. Ice Road Truckers, Swamp People, and Sugar Smugglers.
That's
Friday Night
hilarious.
Lineup. Must see TV.
Ugh.
So, for the time being, we're going to have to put a pause on the sugar smuggling and see just how much of a plot point it is in the future. We go back to Raylan and Art, and they are searching like this container warehouse where Picker has led them.
This was super weird. Like, I didn't understand where they were right away, and they don't really... He just starts off with, you think Picker was jerking us around? And I missed that line.
Oh.
So
okay.
for a minute, I was like, wait, what the hell are they doing? But yeah, this scene is... There's something about... I think maybe there's not music. Is that it? There's something about it that feels really stark.
It is very silent.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like, before all the action starts, Raylan very casually drops into the conversation that, hey, so I saw you went to Detroit and you were looking for Picker.
Oh,
how about that, huh? And Art, like, just as casually, completely ignores the question.
Bless you too.
And that is when Marcos emerges with a gigantic semi-automatic Tommy gun.
Holy shit, this thing. It's like, because I think Art had just said maybe he's been here the whole time.
Yes,
and then he
that's
just
true.
leaps out.
Yeah.
And it's like, I was just, does he have a drum on that? Is that a Tommy? And sure enough.
Yep.
And he does have a sort of like Terminator thing going on, because he's walking forward very slowly and steadily without much expression. And
that's true.
It's, he's got a sort of vibe here. And he's blowing some holes in these containers with that gun.
Is.
Like, what fucking kind of gun is that?
Yeah,
I know that Art comments on it, but he doesn't say what kind of gun it is.
I don't know. I don't know. It's
God
my
damn.
notes just call it a semi-automatic shotgun.
I guess,
but,
yeah.
And I do like that, just as he's done a few other times, that after all this stuff happens, the first thing Art has to do is go like, "Holy shit! Did you see that gun?
Right?
That gun is awesome."
It's a little bit like a Han Solo with Chewie's crossbow.
Yeah,
I like
exactly.
this thing.
I was so happy they finally let that thing actually get fired in the movie.
Right?
Carried it around for 3 freaking movies and never uses it. So anyway, yeah, they. So that was kind of unexpected, and again, and it ends almost as unexpectedly as it started.
Yeah, it really does. Like, he just bump there, and he's down.
Yeah, it's undramatic. Raylan manages to get around him, shoots him in the back, guy goes down.
Yep. Which I appreciate, that there's not this big, long, like, you should put that down, well, make me. Like, this isn't how they operate. And this guy, we all know, would not have put that shit down, so don't bother.
Right.
But, it's one thing to know that that's how it would go, and another thing for Hollywood to actually follow the rules. So I was glad that they did it this way. It just was kind of startling, because this guy is like, this is dramatic fucking, like, this is like something out of Dick Tracy, and for him to just go down so easily like that, I definitely didn't expect.
Yeah, there's a weird line with that kind of thing with me, where there's what you expect to happen, and then there's the idea, well, I'm going to totally subvert your expectation. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that's a really good thing, and sometimes I think it's important to play into the cliche.
Right.
Because it does, like, it's a cliche for a reason. It became a cliche because it works.
Yeah.
But I think this show usually does a very good job of keeping it interesting. So I don't mind it. But I always, whenever that kind of thing happens, I go like, oh, well, that was less satisfying than I wanted it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Okay, I guess. But especially in this episode, they keep it moving fast enough where I'm just like, all right, whatever, let's keep going.
Yeah, really, my main gripe is just that it's Alan Tudyk that goes down like that.
I know.
Like, I think it's fair that they handled it the way they did, but I just wish it didn't have to be him.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do?
Oh, going back to way earlier in the podcast, Michael Ironsides, who also played a one-episode hitman on this show, is another one of those guys. Every time he shows up in something, I get excited.
I'm looking him up because I don't remember who that is.
You'll recognize his face, I think, when you see him. He's been in everything.
Oh, yeah, this guy. Yeah, he's in a ton of stuff.
Yeah, whenever he shows up, I'm excited about it.
He was in Turbo Kid. That's where I'm thinking of him from.
Really? That's your go-to. Interesting. Okay.
Well, it's just what I saw him in the most recently, I think.
Gotcha.
And I was not a fan of that movie, so it kind of stuck in my mind because I was irritable.
Okay. Now, for me, he's the bad guy in Highlander 2, and he's the drill sergeant in Starship Troopers.
I never saw the Highlander movies.
The first one is super 80s, but really fun. The sequels, Highlander 2 is one of those, it's not Fateful Findings bad, but it's a bad fucking movie.
Oh, dear.
It's bad enough that, they were making the movie down in Argentina, and the movie itself was going to be bad anyway. But in the middle of shooting, their currency lost all value. Oh. And so they shut down production, and the movie was finished by the studio accountants, who said, they said, what is the fastest way we can finish this movie and stitch together the footage to make it a film?
Weird.
The theatrical cut of Highlander 2 is one of the biggest pieces of garbage I've ever actually seen that was released in a real theatrical release. Bad enough that 10 years later, the director and some of the producers of the movie put their own money together to rehire the actors, film some extra scenes, and then buy the rights to recut the film. And they released Highlander 2, the Renegade version. And that's generally the version you can find these days. But yeah, Highlander 2 is just awful. It's crazy, and it completely throws out the premise of the first movie. And it becomes about like the world living under a giant dome and global warming. And it's weird.
Huh. Okay.
It's bananas. And the third and fourth Highlander movies are terrible. They're terrible. They're forgettable. Don't even bother. But the first one's good.
Is the first one the one where Sean Connery is Egyptian?
Yes, he's.
Okay, I started watching it, and once that came up, I shut it off. So maybe I need to go back.
Though. Yes. Juan Sanchez Villalobos Ramirez.
Oh man,
and Christopher Lambert. He's another actor. Anytime Christopher Lambert shows up on anything, I'm on board. He's awesome. He's so much fun.
All right. Well, maybe I'll take your advice, but you have to watch the Babadook then.
Deal. Patreon goals.
Okay.
You hear that, guys?
God, Babadook's so good, guys. Okay.
Anyway, okay. Back to the episode. This episode is too good for us to be getting this distracted.
Right?
So, all right. Back in county jail, we go to Ava, and she is having her hair done by her bunkmate. And turns out her bunkmate, Sally, and Albert Ficus have set her up. Sally planted a shiv for the guard to find, and then he stabs himself and radios for help.
I just couldn't, all he wants to do is punish her because she gets sent to another facility, so it's not like he's going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
He can't, it's just because fuck you, that's why.
Well, that's what I was wondering if is it just because fuck you, or do you think this is something that the other guard would have, bullied him into?
Why would she have done that?
She beat the crap out of him the first time. He's protected. I don't know. I just get that feeling that he would kind of maybe do whatever she told him to.
Wait, I'm confused about what you even mean. Do you think that the female guard that beat the shit out of him for assaulting Eva would put him up to framing her? I thought the whole deal is protecting her. Why would she frame her?
I guess my thought process is that I don't know. I guess I just feel like it's an odd thing for him to do. I guess I didn't see it as just payback. I kind of wondered what put this together to get her in this situation, essentially to keep her in prison.
I get maybe, but I don't see why she would have. I don't know.
Okay, so your brain's in a total different
yeah,
place.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
Okay, that's fair.
The woman who her cellmate, says something like, "I'm not getting out for a while, sorry." So I'm assuming what that means is just I'm gonna have to deal with these guys if I don't comply with what they told me to do, right?
That's fair. Yeah, that's a fair assumption.
Because I initially took it as I'm doing this so that I can get out sooner, but I don't think that's actually what's going to happen.
Yeah, because she says she's not getting out for a while.
Yeah,
it doesn't sound like I'm doing this to shorten my sentence.
Yeah.
I guess actually, I think where we were disconnecting on that scene is you were coming at it from a place of personal revenge, and my first thought on it was, who is trying to keep her in jail?
Well, yeah, and that's my point. Is this woman is telling him not to mess with her because she's protected. So this is the opposite of protecting her, is ensuring that she stays in jail. So that just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. No, I said I think I hear exactly what you're saying, and I don't disagree with you. again, I think my first perception on that is someone is trying to specifically set her up to keep her in prison.
I mean, yeah, clearly that's pretty obviously what's happening, but it just doesn't, like, the motivation for her to do that just seems non-existent.
I guess maybe she just struck me as a character who there is more to than what we have seen so far.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't get that impression at all.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That's fair. And again, and I will tell this, I have forgotten enough details about this season. Again, I'm not trying to be leading in any way. I was just genuinely curious.
Okay.
But yeah, clearly our brains were in two very different places about this. So, okay. Well, moving on then. So yeah, Ava's in a bad way.
Ugh, feel really bad. Like her scene with Boyd when he's coming to see, like, tell her that he's going to come get her in the morning is really touching. Yeah. And they did a good job setting up this disappointment as being really heart-wrenching, because if they hadn't had that scene with the two of them, they've been so at each other's throats a little bit recently that it wouldn't have had the same impact. But they did a good job sort of like buffering it beforehand with like, yeah, no, they still are totally in love. It's just been stressful. Yeah.
And Ficus, he does have just like the worst, nastiest grin on his face.
Ugh, he's awful. This fucking actor, I hate him so much. Like, I know that he's probably the sweetest guy, but I just hate him. He always plays these types. Ugh.
Yeah, he's also a pretty accomplished writer. I forget what he's done, but he is.
Okay.
He's done a lot of other stuff. He's branched out a lot. But actually, and he is another one, though. He's another one when he shows up, when Danny Strong shows up, I go, hey, it's the short guy from Buffy. And I'm always excited to see him play, because I do think he is very good at certain types of roles.
And he looks like he's like the evil version of Constable Bob. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, if
Absolutely.
Bob just like went wrong, this is him.
I like that. Absolutely. That same kind of toxic masculinity, like you said before, on, saddled on somebody who is not good enough to do anything about it. Not good enough, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Well, back at the container warehouse, we have the Marshall's SWAT team like searching the premises, and they find a bleeding shipping container. And they open it.
So confusing. I was like, what the fuck? I'm thinking that this is going to be filled with dead hookers, like in The Wire or something.
Right.
Like.
But instead, super random, sick and bandaged and bleeding Theo Tonin is hanging out in like an airline chair.
So weird.
Yeah.
So he got nailed because of that freaking insane gun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, super weird.
Super
Totally
weird.
Unexpected.
But giant victory for Art. And back at headquarters, everybody is celebrating. And Art is in his office taking congratulatory phone calls. And Raylan is surreptitiously trying to get more information on Picker.
Mm-hmm.
But they're way too big on celebrating. And Vasquez is kind of saying, Art's retiring in just 8 months, and this is a fitting cap on his career.
Yeah. Yeah, this was fun. I liked this. Nice, like a nice little gimme after everything's been kind of terrible.
Right. It's just super random, but good for him.
Mm-hmm.
And then, this is the other big Danny scene we go to now. Danny and Kendall in the back room of Audrey's, and Kendall has changed his shirt back, which is stupid.
Yeah.
And Danny was supposed to go get groceries.
Do you know what this is?
Yeah.
This is Eddie and Henry from...
Oh, I like that. From Dark Tower.
Yeah. This little kid who's like doing his best and is clearly smarter and better. Mm-hmm. And this guy, some part of him like knows it and resents it and is putting him down every chance he can. And this kid is falling for it and is like trying to get his approval.
I really like that comparison.
If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I'm sorry. It's Dark Tower. Sorry. I'm just like giving no context for that.
I really, really like that comparison. Because Danny sucks.
He's the worst.
Also kind of sucks, but it's not too late for him.
It's yeah. He's smart. You can tell he's smart,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah, so Danny was supposed to get groceries and didn't. And Kendall calls him on it, and Danny starts going on about the 21-foot rule.
Mm-hmm.
And he sort of attacks Kendall with a knife. And then Jean-Baptiste comes in and much more quietly reminds Danny that he still needs to go get groceries.
I was like, yo, what is this guy even doing here anymore? Like, the fact that he was still here immediately, suddenly, his what's the word? Extemporaneousness? Is that a word that is relevant here?
I think you're thinking of extraneous.
Extraneous. What's extemporaneous?
It has to do with, I think, like out of time. Let me get the...
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, extemporaneous is spoken or done without preparation.
Oh, okay. Huh. Yeah, extraneous. That's the one. When he shows up here, it felt very like suddenly clear to me that he has only been around in scenes, but has not mattered in any way. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, he's going to die because he's just been kind of not a factor in anything.
Interesting.
So I was like, either they're going to suddenly make him like a key figure or he's going to die. And I figured he had to die because he's not family.
Okay.
So there's no reason for any of them to like stick up for him. It's frankly kind of weird that he came out with them here at all.
Well, that was the thing, is I kept waiting for him to step up and be a big deal, because they introduce him sort of mysteriously, and he hangs around mysteriously in the back of scenes. And yeah, kind of like you at the end of season 2 with the old grandmother lady, where I was waiting for him to be a big deal, and then holy shit, all of a sudden, no.
Right?
All of a sudden, blown to hell. Yeah, by Danny Shotgun.
By fucking Danny. Which, like, I guess, like, for me, coming at it from the outside, this was so obvious that he was about to do this. But I guess they've been working together for a while now, so there's no reason for him to think that this little, like, spat between the two of them would escalate like this. I just don't really know what their interactions have been like before now, like, because this looks like it's the first time that they really kind of go head to head at all. But yeah.
I'm interested what about that made Danny feel that threatened. Because unless it really is that they just hadn't been in close contact very much before. But like even for somebody who doesn't have any compunctions about killing, as Danny appears to be, that's a pretty drastic step to take.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So.
And it was like a weird, it almost felt like the fact that he was hinted that if I need to ride your ass, that's what I'm going to do from now on. I think that might have been what it was, because there was a sort of like way that Jean-Baptiste came at this that made it seem like I'm going to be your babysitter. And I think that's what pushed him over the edge like that, you know?
That makes sense. But yeah, and Kendall is flipped out because however deep he was involved in family stuff before, this is new territory for him. And Danny pretty much just tells him, you say anything and I'll kill you.
Yeah. Oh, man. And I don't know how he's going to cover this shit up. Like, there's so many factors here. First of all, where the fuck did this guy go? You think he's just going to bounce after coming all the way out there with them and not being family, that he's just suddenly going to disappear and nobody's going to be like wondering what the fuck? 2, your brother's now going to be real weird and jumpy around you. And people have noticed that he's like that anyway. And it's going to just suddenly get worse. And 3, your carpet's covered in blood and that's going to be gone, I would think. Your brother's not an idiot. He's going to start putting that together. And also, this guy is not very bright, so I don't imagine he's going to be real effective in getting rid of this body. I think that body's going to turn up in like a day. he's just such an idiot. Like I don't have any faith in him. Pretty much. They don't have gators to feed him to.
That's true. That's true. He is definitely out of his element when it comes to this up here.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but this scene shocked the hell out of me when I first saw it because I did not see it coming.
Yeah, I was like, once he got up, I was like, oh fuck. But it's still like it still made me jump how suddenly it happened.
Yeah. So we now go to Hot Rods, where we have a triple cross.
Oh my god, this was great. I'm really mad about it because I don't want Johnny to succeed in anything ever anymore. But I still enjoyed the house, like, because they got me. They totally got me.
Yeah. Yeah, Johnny is playing poker with Jay, Roscoe, and Ali. So Wood Harris is back. And Hot Rod comes in and tells him, game's over. I need you to come with me. And I do like right before that, Johnny makes an affirmative action joke and gets totally shut down.
Oh my God, I was cracking up. No, not you. Also, I love the fact that this guy's Avon from The Wire, one of the first scenes of The Wire ever, is what's his face being like, why did you let him play? It's America, man. You got to. And that's what they're saying in this scene. It's like, I don't even know why you let him play. And I was just like, oh shit. I don't know if that was like a real call, like if they meant to do that. But
I believe it.
I like to think that they did.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so they're all playing poker. Hot Rod comes in and interrupts and says, well, you've got to come with me. Mm-hmm. Because, well, essentially, I made a deal with Boyd, and it's time to go. They, all the guns come out, all pointed at Johnny. And Johnny appears to be in a bad way for like 3 seconds.
Yep.
And then he asks Hot Rod what he did with all the money that he made, that they split. And Hot Rod says he invested it because he's a responsible businessman. And Johnny invested it too.
Yeah, I did the same. Flip.
All the guns turned.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and that's Hot Rod's reaction too. He just looks and goes, well, shit.
Oh, man. I don't know. Like, are they going to kill him? I don't want Hot Rod dead.
He's fun.
Yeah, right? Like, he hasn't really been that much of a big player in this. He comes in here and there. But I really enjoyed when he was around because he just added this sort of flavor to things. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, I hope that he doesn't just wind up getting shot.
Well, we will see.
Yeah.
But at the moment, he's not great. But
right.
But Johnny is I was gonna say that Johnny doesn't necessarily have a reason to kill him, except for when did Johnny ever need a reason to make a dumb decision? So
I'm like, I want to know because they all pull their guns when Hot Rod says Boyd, and then when Johnny says I did the same, they all flip. And I'm like, did you all rehearse this? Like, and then I'll say, Boyd. And you all, yeah, all right, yep. No, smoother than that. Do it again. Like, I just like that idea of, like, the logistics before they do stuff like this.
Yeah, now add a little step ball chain.
Right, yeah.
So, we will have to see what happens with that. But, yeah, the tables have turned, as they say. Mm-hmm. We now go to Johnny's bar.
His poor lawyer, man.
Yeah, and he has come in to give Boyd the bad news. And we don't even actually see it happen.
Nope.
We instead just smash cut to the jail. Boyd storming in, demanding to see Ava. And then it turns out she has already been transferred. And Boyd loses it.
He loses it. He is so good.
He really is
so good. Like,
and it's even just like the octaves of his voice, the way they change, and just and we saw him lose it at the end of last season when Ava got arrested, and this is a very different reaction than that was.
Yeah, that was hopelessness, and this is just pure fucking rage. Like, man, So who the fuck is setting her up? Because I thought that it was just, but it has to be bigger than that. So I'm wondering if this isn't the fucking wife. But that means that she would have had to have that woman on her side from the beginning, which maybe she did. But there's got to be somebody else at play here. Like, what are Lee's friends doing that he was, like, getting drunk and shooting with?
They really seem to have condensed that group down into one dude.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Yeah, there were 4 or 5 guys last season, and then it's just become Lee.
Yeah.
Well, it just became Lee. Past tense. So, yeah, I don't know. But this situation has rapidly spiraled out of control for Boyd.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, bad stuff.
I'm like, yeah. Man, I don't know. I don't know what it could be because, like, yeah. All right, my brain's going in like 6 different directions at once now. Anyway, I feel like I'm doing Legion.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see because there's no more of that this episode. It just ends with Boyd being restrained.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, we go back to the party and Art and Raylan and Vasquez, and they're all sort of winding down from the festivities.
Mm-hmm.
And Art is enjoying himself and talking down the guy in the bar, Gunslinger Gibbons style.
Yeah, that was pretty fun.
Yeah. And Raylan said he's happy that he's taught Art something through osmosis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then here comes Vasquez with, oh, hey, he told us who was there. Guess who it was? And I'm like, of course it can't be that he said Raylan, because they wouldn't be fucking drinking and chilling with him like this. But I still was just like, but who then? And it turns out he gave the name of that FBI agent that...
Special Agent Barkley.
Yeah. Who got shot. Was it Nikki that shot him?
Yeah, it was Nikki Augustine shot him in the RV.
Win Duffy's RV. Right, okay. So that's a good name to pin it on.
Right?
That's really good. Like,
that's more loyalty out of Picker than I ever would have expected.
Mm-hmm. It's a smart play. A lawman in Kentucky. I mean, it lines up. I don't know that he actually heard the words "a lawman in Kentucky" in his pocket and knew that that's exactly would line up the way that it did. But if he did, excellent play. But then Raylan's like, yeah, I'm going to just put this fucking out there now because I can't with this fucking sly looks back and forth anymore. I can't.
Yeah, that's one of those. Well, actually, first I also just want to mention I love right before Vasquez leaves, he looks and says, Raylan, you're a dick. Art, you're an American hero. I like that. But also, after he drops the thing about Barkley and walks away, Art looks at Raylan and he gives him this smile. And 90% of me feels like Art knows, and they could just both let this lie.
Yeah.
But 10% of me goes, maybe is Art saying, well, I was wrong. All right. That's a satisfactory answer. Do you think there's any part of him that thought that, or is this all him saying, we can let this go?
I think it's that second one.
Yeah.
I don't even think it's just we can let this go. It's more like, yeah, you just barely got out of it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, almost a little bit of resentment that, like, yet again, you pull some shady shit and nothing happens to you yet again. Like, I don't think he's real mad, but I think there's an element there of just like, you just, nothing sticks. Nothing sticks. I could see that being really irritating in a way. Like, you like this guy and he does decent work and his instincts are good. And it's not like he's wrong about shit often, but it must be a little infuriating to see somebody constantly doing whatever the fuck they feel like and never getting any blowback for it at all.
Yeah.
So I think that was a part of it, was just like, yeah, you got away with it and I'm going to let it lie. But also, like, fuck you for having to put forth virtually no effort to get out of it either. Like, they just had your back, you know?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I like the fact that Raylan turns around to talk, because this is almost a copy of the end of season 2 with Winona and the money. And in that instance, they were both just happy to stay silent.
Yeah.
And just say, let's just move on from this. And Raylan won't do that anymore. He has to man up to it. And we don't see what happens, but I appreciate the callback, but the fact that they won't let it go the same way.
Same, yeah. Yeah, I'm glad that Raylan has decided, you know what, this is serious enough that if he knows, I don't feel cool with just letting it go. This isn't a bag of money that disappeared and came back. This is different. This is a deep corruption kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's different. And I think that he just kind of realizes that finally. And maybe the fact that it seemed like Art was going to let it go was what spurred him on to confess, because he feels like if I tell him, maybe he'll like be chill about it. I don't even know really like what I mean by that, but I'm really curious to see how Art reacts. I really am. I don't know what the hell he's going to do with that.
No, but there is kind of an element of, I don't know. Did you ever have that when you were a teenager and you screwed up in some way and you felt compelled to come clean about it because even though you really could have gotten away with it, you just had to say something because you didn't want it left unsaid?
I had moments of feeling compelled, but I never actually did it.
Okay.
I just wrote it out and waited until that feeling just sort of went away.
Too much Catholic in me. But so Raylan is ready to face the music, at least Art's music, and we'll have to wait and see next time exactly what that means.
Yeah, I'm really curious. Art, I just love you so much, and I enjoy Raylan's antics. So like, while I want him to suffer some consequences, I also like want him to still be going out and just like, pistol whipping people and stuff. So I'm real torn on this. I'm sorry. I just got so distracted. There's a gecko crawling over my window on my screen. I was like, what the fuck is that? And then I realized it's a little tiny lizard. He's so cute. He's just chilling, crawling around and then stopping and hanging out. Oh, Texas is so weird. All right. Well, I want to say hi to new patrons real quick. This week we have Dos Moonen, Melanie Linares, and Evan Allen David Haley all just became patrons. One of you signed up for $5 and up, which means that you will be getting access to Twin Peaks, and the other signed up for $15 and up, which means that you're going to be getting a postcard from Basic Snape this week. Or not. Ooh. You won't be getting it this week. It'll be coming next week, but I'm sending them out this week. They just came in the mail. The Basic Snape postcards came out quite well. I'm very happy with them, and I'm excited because I didn't think I was going to be able to get anybody to print them because of copyright stuff. But thanks, Moo, for printing them.
Woo!
And if you'd like to become a patron and get access to some of those sweet, sweet bennies, go to patreon.com/unspoiled, and you can pledge whatever you think is fair. I am only 10 patrons away from reaching my next goal, which will be the reward for me reaching that goal is me covering the Godfather movies, all 3 of them, because I have never seen any of them before.
Oh, come on, people. I want to talk about The Godfather with her.
I'm pretty
and I can't
excited.
do it until she's watched them.
Exactly 10 away.
There have been so many times. So we've watched 3 series together. There are so many times when I wanted to make Godfather references, and I can't do it.
It's really one of those things that I'm like wondering how much of the movie I'm going to be like, oh, that's from this. Like, I'm guessing about like 60% of it, probably.
Yeah. This is one of those movies you go like, oh, yeah, that's from this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow, that's from this movie? Yeah, especially the first one, but the second one, too, just over and over and over again.
So, let's see. I feel like there was another thing that I wanted to mention. I don't know how many people who listen to Harry Potter, but I'm going to be doing a Harry Potter Wizarding World meetup in November. First day of which is November 28th. And I don't have any plans nailed down yet for what we're going to do, but I'm going to be making my reservations at the hotel this week. And I'm really excited about it. I am definitely going to be pinched for money, and Rashawn is still unsure if she'll actually be able to make it, both of us, for financial reasons. So I created a GoFundMe, and I pinned it to the top of the Facebook page. And if you have any bucks to spare and you want to help some awesome podcast hosts make a dream come true, throw a few bucks into that GoFundMe. I don't have a deadline set up for it yet. If I decide on one, it won't be for several months at least, because we still got a while. But whatever we make, I will be dividing equally between me and Rashawn for our trips.
Nice.
And I'm really hopeful that we will make enough so that she can get down there, because I haven't seen her in years. And it'll be so awesome to see her and show her around. And I can't wait to see the new section of Harry Potter, because I was down at Wizarding World when they only had Hogsmeade. So getting to see the new section of Diagon Alley with, getting to take the Hogwarts Express and everything, I'm fucking stoked. Plus, I just started watching The Simpsons because of Owen. So now the Simpsons section of the park is going to mean something to me. Whereas before I just walked right the fuck through it because I didn't care. So I'm going to go have a Krusty Burger and a Lard Boy donut. And I'm really stoked about that too. Because apparently they're humongous.
As they should be.
Yeah. Have you seen pictures of those donuts?
I have not.
They're like the size of like a salad plate. And they're about 2 inches thick.
That is an unnecessary amount of fried dough. It's
amazing. How dare you take that? Do you know who you're speaking to right now? Listen, I'm ending this podcast. That's the final straw. Podcast over. Thanks for listening, everyone. See you next week. Toodaloo, motherfuckers.
On this lonely road, trying to make it home, doing it by my lonesome, pissed off, who wants some? I'm fighting for my soul, God get at you, boy. You try to go, God fall back, I go hard. On this lonely road, trying to make it home, doing it by my lonesome, pissed off, who wants some? I see them long, hard times to come. My life is ill, son, prepared to kill, son. Paradox of pain, baby, is real, son. Lonely traveler, ain't trying to battle you, but if you're feeling tough, dog, I walk up all challenges. Ain't got no family.
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.